Hey, everybody, welcome to the Unbiased Room. We're going to kick it off with how crazy the transfer portal has been this year. So, AB, go ahead and let me know what you got.
All right, man. So the portal opened up December 5th, right? And since then, so from December 5th to January 19th, over 1,200 scholarship players have entered the portal, right? And I think that is just a crazy number, man. It's like these kids are running away from competition. And no, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I just feel like if we're allowing, players to transfer an unlimited amount of times, like what are we teaching them? Like, what's the point? It makes no sense to me.
All right. So speaking of players that's transferred an unlimited number of times, you got JT Daniels, right, who I think is kind of like a poster child for the transfer portal. He started out at USC, then he went to Georgia, West Virginia, and then now he's transferring to Rice for his final season. Or I could talk about Ayibe Anoma, right, who started out at Bama. And then he went to Houston, got kicked off the team, transferred to UT Martin, played there a year, then transferred to Michigan, played there a year, and now he's back in the portal. I just feel that I'm all for players being able to go into the transfer portal, but I do think there needs to be some type of stipulation. I think that it should be you transfer the first time, you play immediately. Second time, you need to sit out a year, right? And then you transfer a third time, maybe you sit out 2 years or another year or whatever, right? But it just needs to be some type of penalty. When you transfer so many times, what are you transferring for? Is it the competition, or is it, personal issues with the coaches? What's the reason to transfer so many times?
Yeah, I mean, the amount of people that hit the transfer portal, like I said, I agree with going from situation from one situation to a better one. I'm all for it. They need to do you got to do what you got to do for your own personal development and career, because all these guys they're driving for a NFL position, right? That's the end goal of most of these athletes, to get to the league. But
Yeah.
and I think by the time you get to your third transfer, like you don't shot yourself in the foot. I think I think it hurts your NFL stock more than helps it. I'm with you, Ron. Like, first one, you can transfer, play right away. The second one should come with a little bit more, sit out half a season maybe or so, and then don't even allow a third one. So what are you transferring for the third time? Like, what's the point? If you haven't developed as a player by your junior, sophomore year, you probably don't got it, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's probably not going to happen for you. And go ahead and hit the studies and stay where you're at, because there's pros outside of the NFL. So that's just my two cents on that one. It's just, but to go on to your fourth school, it's ridiculous.
And I also think it's like, what kind of man do you want to be, man? You're telling people that you can't handle adversity, and it's just, yeah, I'm not a fan of it.
It hurts your stock more than it helps.
Now, I do understand, Caleb Williams transferring from Oklahoma to USC to follow Lincoln Riley, right? Lincoln Riley is the quarterback whisperer. He didn't had, two Heisman winners under him, and that made sense to me, right? But for somebody just to transfer, then that makes sense to me.
I just think that the NCAA is going to have to come up with some type of stipulations if you decide to transfer more than once.
I seen they had something in work, so they should be working out something. I can't remember the article that I read. I think it was last week, maybe, that they're gonna lay out some type of plan to crack down on all the transfers.
Yeah, when it comes to NCAA regulating, it's like the Wild West right now when it comes to like the transfer portal and NIL deal, all this stuff. Like, this is all new territory for the NCAA. So maybe we'll see how they gave it a shot, open season transfers many times, and they see how it's not playing out the way they thought it would. So I'm curious to see how they're going to regulate it.
To get back on it real quick, another thing that happens is, right, so, you're at a school, right, say Ron's at Bama, he don't like it, so he enters the portal and he wants to transfer to Texas, right? And what if Texas don't accept him? Now this guy just lost his scholarship at Bama, right? He's no longer there, and Texas is not going to pick him up. So now he's stuck. He's in limbo, and that's been happening. I know last year they had like 1,700 football players into the portal, but only like 700 something actually went on to get scholarships.
That right there is the disservice to the student, right? At the end of the day, they're student athletes, though, right? So that's a disservice to the student, and that's where I think the NCAA is going to crack down on because you can't just be in limbo. Like, what are you going to do, right? Like right now, we're talking about, and this is leads into our next talking about Jaden Rashada. He had that NIL deal break down on him, so he's technically in limbo right now because he withdrew his name from Florida.
Yeah. So with Jaden Rashada, the reason his NIL deal broke down is because he was going to get $3.25 million a year, which is crazy. And they came back and said that they was not going to be able to honor that. The average quarterback in college only gets $750,000. And for a guy that's unproven, never even played a down in college football, and wasn't even the best quarterback in his class, to get $3.25 million starting out, $13 million if he stayed the whole 4 years. That's crazy.
And uncharacteristic times, man. That is wild. That's a lot of money.
And that's
you got people they could make more money, right, in college if they wanted to, if they brand themselves right, and Arch Manning, for instance, if he was money hungry, Arch Manning could be getting paid, $10 million a year while he was at Texas in college.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I agree. It's a ridiculous amount, and I think this was a perfect example of fishing for throwing the line out there for the big fish. Florida needed a big time quarterback. He was one of the big time quarterbacks out there left that they can bring in. They threw that crazy amount at him. He's like, yes, I want to go. Not for anything other reasons. Pretty obvious that he just went there for the money. I mean, I would too, right? But them not honoring it, and it's not something new. This has been happening a lot, right? So I'm looking at right here on 24/7 Sports, where some players have been going to the coaches, going to the schools, but they have nothing to do with this. That's a third party. It's completely a third party.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jordan Anderson is the other one too.
Yeah, and that's what I was just about to say. Florida that cannot come from Billy Napier. It cannot come from Billy Napier or the athletic director. They cannot have, and that's a state law in the state of Florida. They cannot have anything to do with NIL, right? It has to all come from that collective.
Yeah.
One thing, that y'all was saying is kind of just, I'm just still baffled, right? He originally signed with Miami, and then he decommitted from them and decided to go to Florida, right, because of the money. Now he's meet with Colorado and Arizona State. And, of course, he may not end up at Arizona State. I'm pretty sure he could probably end up at Colorado because they're going to be able to get him a decent-sized NIL deal. And just the staggering amount of money, it just blows me away, because Bryce Young and Caleb Williams, they were the top earners last year, but both of them won Heismans. He hasn't even played a down in the college football.
Unproven.
And that's the thing. Like, I've been saying this for a while now. Like, if we're gonna give these kids millions, right, it needs to come with some stipulation. First of all, for me, if you were a freshman coming in, be a starter by sophomore year. Be on the depth chart. Like, I'm not gonna sit there and say I'm gonna give you $13 million to come to Florida, and you can legitimately just ride the bench. That's not gonna happen. Like, you got to be a starter by year 2, right? You got to have a playoff appearance by year 3. This is not. We're not talking, thousands. We're talking millions here.
But and if I'm a coach, right, and I see the situation that's going on with Jaden Rashad, like this guy does not. You don't love the game, man. You can't love the game because it's about money for you. I'm not recruiting you. You're not on my board. It's not gonna happen.
So I disagree with you there, AB. I think that the NIL thing is great for college, right? A lot of these guys leave the game, broken, bruised, and don't have a shot at the NFL, right? So that was their time to actually, get paid for doing what they love, right? I just think they need to set a cap for it.
Yeah.
And I know that's one thing that NCAA is looking at again, right? And who knows how long that'll be, maybe 5 years from now. But they're looking at trying to cap it, the NIL. And, one thing that they brought up last year, kind of going back to what Ed said, when they said Texas A&M was paying those players to come to Texas A&M. And as we see, a lot of them left. But if I'm a big donor and I'm paying X amount of money for this player to come to my school, I want him to play.
Yep,
right?
Absolutely.
So, and if he's not playing, I want to know why he ain't playing. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I wasn't saying that I don't think they should get paid. All I'm saying is I think they should get paid 100%. Right? I just don't think if I'm recruiting you, I want you to come to the school because of the reasons you're in love with the game, right? All the reasons that we didn't, what makes the game so great. The money thing, that's a conversation, but you want to play for me because XYZ.
What I'm saying, as a coach, this dude is going to make probably more than some of your offensive and defensive coaches on the staff. Like, and then that he's only there for money, right? So I'm with you on that. Like, to me, that'd be a huge red flag as a head coach. I'm like, I don't know if I want to bring somebody, because are you really going to put it out there week in and week out to make the team better? And I think this Jaden Rashada, this has hurt his stock immensely, right? Yeah, he's going to go probably to Colorado. He's probably going to bounce back from it. And Dion is a perfect person to mentor and guide him through this process.
For him to calm the hell down.
Yeah. I think, he went from A&M to Miami to Florida, and now he's in limbo. And I hope he lands in Colorado, because I think that's the best situation for him.
Yeah. And he'll sit a couple of years behind Shadir Sanders. How many years is that? How many years? I think, is he a junior?
He a junior this year.
Okay, yes. So is he willing to sit? And see, that's another question. Is he willing to sit 2 years behind Shadir Sanders? Because I don't know if Sanders is, ready to make that jump into the NFL next year. Maybe I'm wrong. Right.
At this point, where else is he going to go? What other big time program is going to risk the reputation, really risk that all this drama that comes with it? I don't see Florida come. Miami and Florida, they're done with him. Maybe UCF might have some money tucked away somewhere, but
oh man.
Well, let's see. That wraps it up for this episode of Unbiased Room. Go ahead and like, subscribe, leave a comment, let us know what you think. Take it easy. Peace.
Peace.
Easy.